Hey everyone, welcome back to another great episode of kzomradio's Know Your Legends Unsolved Murders. This week we're going to be talking about Jack the Stripper. That is right, I'm not making that up. Jack the Stripper was an unknown serial killer responsible for what came to be known as the London Nude Murders between 1964 and 1965. These are also known as the Hammersmith Murders, or the Hammersmith Nude Cases. He got his nickname because he murdered 6, maybe 8 prostitutes whose nude bodies were discovered around London or dumped in the River Thames. The victim count is ambiguous because 2 of the murders attributed him did not fit his MO. So I just thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about the Jack the Stripper, which, would be like, you would figure a bad movie title or something. But no, it's an actual nickname given to a serial killer in the 60s. So let's get on with it. Not much is known about him, so what we're really going to be doing is talking about the victims and some of the investigation and that kind of stuff. So not a lot of background, but we get right into it here. All right, Jack the Stripper murders. Confirmed. Hannah Talford, 30, originally from a Northwest mining family. Hannah Talford was found dead on February 2nd, 1964, near the Hammersmith Bridge. She had been strangled and several of her teeth were missing. Her underwear had also been forced down her throat. Irene Lockwood, 26, was found dead on April 8, 1964, on the shore of the Thames, not far from where Hannah Talford had been discovered. Their 2 deaths, along with that of Elizabeth Figg, were linked, and police realized that a killer was on the loose. A 57-year-old caretaker, Kenneth Archibald, confessed to the murder almost 3 weeks later. This confession was dismissed due to inconsistencies with his version of events and with the discovery of a 3rd victim. Helen Bartholomew, originally from Blackpool, was found dead on April 24, 1964, in an alleyway in Brentford. Bartholomew's death gave investigators their first solid piece of evidence in the case: flecks of paint used in motorcar manufactories. Police felt that the paint had probably come from the killer's workplace. They therefore focused on tracing it to a business nearby. Mary Fleming, originally from Scotland, Fleming's body was found on July 14, 1964, in an open street in the district of Chiswick, where police presence was heaviest. Once again, paint spots were found on the body. Many neighbors also heard a car reversing down the street just before the body was discovered. Frances Brown, 21, an Edinburgh native, was last seen alive on October 23, 1964, by her friend, a fellow prostitute named Kim Taylor, before her body was found in an alleyway in Kensington a month later on the 25th of November. Taylor, who had been seen with Brown when she was picked up by a man believed to be the killer, was able to provide police with an identikit picture and a description of the man's car, thought to be either a Ford Zephyr or a Zodiac. Bridget O'Hara, 28, also known as Birdie, was found dead behind the Heron Trading Estate in a storage shed. Once again, O'Hara's body turned up flecks of industrial paint, which incredibly were traced to a covered transformer just yards from where she had been discovered. She also showed signs of having been stored in a warm environment. The transformer was a good fit for both the paint and the heating. Possible victims. Elizabeth Figg, 21, was found dead on June 17, 1959, a full 5 years before the Jack the Stripper murder started, near the River Thames in Chiswick. Her death was considered by some to bear many similarities to other victims, such as the location of the body, near the Thames and in Chiswick, where Mary Fleming's body would be found in 1964, and death by strangulation. Gwyneth Reese, 22, a Welsh-born girl, was found dead in a rubbish tip on November 8, 1963. Once again, investigators felt Reese may have been a stripper victim due to her being found near the River Thames and because she had been strangled with ligature. Several of her teeth were also missing. Investigation. Chief Superintendent John DeRose of Scotland Yard, the detective put in charge of the case, interviewed almost 7,000 suspects. He then held a news conference, falsely announcing that the police had narrowed down the pool to 20 men, and a short time later he announced that the suspects pool contained only 10 members, and then 3. The stripper did not kill any more after the initial news conference. According to writer Anthony Summers, 2 of the victims, Hannah Talford and Frances Brown, the stripper's 3rd and 7th victims, were peripherally connected to the 1963 Profumo affair. Also, some victims were known to engage in an underground party and pornographic movie scene. Several writers have postulated that the victims might have known each other and that the killer might have been connected to the scene as well. Suspects. Like the Jack the Ripper killings, the stripper's reign of terror seemed to cease on its own. There were a few solid clues for police to investigate. DeRose's favorite suspect was a Scottish security guard called Munro Ireland, whom DeRose first identified in a BBC television interview in 1970 as a respectable married man in his 40s whom he codenamed Big John. Ireland had apparently been identified as a suspect shortly after Bridget O'Hara's murder, when flecks of industrial paint were traced to the company where he worked as a security guard, Heron Trading Estate. Shortly after the trace was made, Ireland committed suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning, leaving a note for his wife that read, "I can't stick it any longer," and finished, "To save you and the police looking for me, I'll be in the garage." While seen by many as the strong suspect in the killings, recent research suggests that Ireland was in Scotland when O'Hara was murdered and therefore could not have been the stripper. A recent book also named British light heavyweight boxing champion Freddie Mills as the killer, although this has not been substantiated. The Crime and Investigation Channel's Fred Dinage murder casebook put forward the case that the killer could have been Harold Jones, a convicted murderer from Wales. Harold Jones was convicted of the murders of 2 girls in 1921 in the town of Abertilly. Because he was 15 at the time, he would not face the death penalty, instead receiving a life sentence. He was released 20 years later for exemplary behavior. In 1941, at the age of 35, released from prison, he is believed to have visited his hometown, Abertillery, and visited the graves of his early victims. In 1947, he surfaced in London. Moving to Fulham, he got married and had a daughter. All the murders had similar traits to his early murders, but no sexual assault. But horrendous violence was subjected to the victims. Due to poor records, he was never looked at by police. So, kind of interesting how all this came to be. But the mention of the Profumo affair, I looked it up real quick, and it's a 1963 British political scandal named after John Profumo, Secretary of State of War. His affair with Christine Keeler, the reputed mistress of an alleged Russian spy, followed him by lying to the House of Commons, where he was questioned about it, forced to resign, and damaged the reputation of Prime Minister Harold Macmillan's government. So, okay, so if it's alleged to that affair, it could be political scandal. These are kind of, I don't know. Again, kind of a tough thing. You never know what's going to happen with these women. I mean, prostitutes, they get caught up in different lines of work, and you never know. But again, these are my thoughts. These aren't yours. I am very curious to know what you think about the whole thing. So give me a buzz back at kzomradio on Twitter. You can find us at kzomradio.com, facebook.com/kzomradio, youtube.com/kzomradio, iTunes, Stitcher, all over the web. And we'll look for you guys next week with Kzom Radio's Know Your Legends, Unsolved Murders. My name is Matt Jarbo. Have a great day.